Andrew Krammer, I want to embark on a journey today. This is the first time we're doing this segment. 3 hot takeaways. I've got some things from the game. We'll have some things from the games every week. I'm going to throw some things out there. You can either feel free to corroborate or talk me down. You kind of do that anyway. Usually, I get out there more on a limb, and you're like, yeah, let's come back towards the sturdier part of the tree here, Rand. Come on, let's get back over here. But the first one has to do with this guy. Let's put this in for a second.
Bunch formation to the right. Oh, wow! Kinkle, touchdown! Wow! Andrew Van Ginkel with the interception.
So, Andrew Van Ginkel, here's my first hot takeaway. Andrew Van Ginkel was the defensive steal of free agency, not just for the Vikings, but one of them at least for the whole NFL. That guy is good, and it wasn't just that play.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Very underrated. Absolute steal in terms of 2-year, $20 million deal. I mean, he's getting paid quite a bit, $10 million a year, but it's not. You're right. It's not upper echelon. Totally max contract, as it were, in the NFL. What this guy can do is everything, and that's what the Vikings love about him. He can be an off-ball linebacker, as he was in Miami at times, just standing in the middle like an Ivan Pace or a Blake Cashman. But he's more at home up at the line of scrimmage off left or right tackle, blitzing the edges like he did on a few occasions. And there was one point where he was roving the middle like one of those stand-up linebackers on a 3rd and goal, and that's when he ended up getting the sack on Daniel Jones, who tried to escape up the middle. Van Ginkel sheds his guy, stops that play. That was one snap after he stopped this different quarterback. This was a design quarterback run on 2nd and goal. So he was all over the place. This guy was. His long hair was on fire, it seemed,
yes,
with what he was doing. So he's really a fit for Brian Flores. They obviously played together. He played under Flores in Miami when Flores was the head coach over there. And that's why they wanted to go get him. They knew the kind of fit he could be. And they compare him to a Josh Metellus type, just in terms of you never know where he's going to line up.
Yeah, I mean, he was all over the field. It wasn't just that pick. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you mentioned that first Giants series where they're driving the ball pretty well. He shuts down those 2 plays at the goal line, makes the sack on Jones on that 3rd down play where I really thought Jones was going to get in the end zone in that play, and he gets dragged down, a yard behind the line of scrimmage. They have to settle for a field goal. That's a big play. Giants had like a 3rd and 2 at midfield later, I think in the first half, and he shuts Jones down on a designed run. The Giants have to punt. Like, he influenced that game in so many different ways. So more to come from him, I suppose, but that was a pretty good debut for him and a lot of those defensive guys.
He did, and this is just kind of what he does. This is his 4th NFL touchdown. He's got 3 on defense, 1 on a blocked punt a couple years ago, and this latest touchdown, I'm sure people saw the stat. It happened in 1.16 seconds or something like
amazing.
That. It was the fastest interception since he did it the last time, and it was a similar play against the Commanders and then quarterback Sam Howell, who checked into a screen and threw it. Van Ginkel read the whole thing, and so it was kind of deja vu for him. But the Vikings will take it, and anytime offenses want to try that, I think he's going to be ready.
Other side of the ball, hot takeaway too. Aaron Jones was the offensive steal of free agency. The Vikings haven't had you tweeted it. I was thinking the same thing. Vikings haven't had a guy like this for a while, at least a couple years. And I don't think Dalvin Cook at the end of his Vikings tenure looked as frisky as Jones did on Sunday.
Yeah, and we've seen that with how Dalvin's looked elsewhere at other stops so far. Yeah, that one's a little bit tougher for me, not because Aaron Jones didn't look amazing in that game. He absolutely did, but they're still paying $7 million for a running back. It kind of felt like they paid more premium at that position than for an Andrew Van Ginkel and true edge rusher who can do anything. But I think they paid for it, but it's what they paid for, and he's given them what they wanted. And he was the 3rd down back along with CJ Ham. Ty Chandler's got a very niche role in this offense where he's going to touch the ball when he's in the game. He's that kind of an athlete and talent. I think he had 11 touches on 19 snaps, but it's still like a 30-40% share that's not going to include a lot of passing down work. And when the Vikings aren't leading in games, and that's going to happen sometimes eventually, I don't think Ty Chandler is going to see the field maybe as much as he did on Sunday. And so Aaron Jones is going to become even more valuable as you get into more competitive games moving forward. But man, the guy just creates. Like there was one play early in this game I was rewatching where Blake Brandel just gets benched into the backfield, and Aaron Jones sees it as he's taking the ball, the handoff from Sam Darnold, and already has in his mind what his plant foot's going to do with his right to cut to his left to avoid that immediate pressure as it's developing in his face. And we've seen so many running backs, most recently Cam Akers and Alexander Madison, just run right into that block and kind of fall over or stumble and not have that full head of steam. And it was one of the many Jones kicked outside and just outran everybody to the edge. And it probably prompted me to tweet that about this guy and his speed. Because, yeah, you're right. Some of the stuff reminded me of prime Dalvin Cook. And the fact that he's only 29 years or is already, 29 years old makes it all the more impressive.
Yeah, I think the touchdown run exemplified that, right? Like O'Connell talked about it after the game. Like he's got to make those quick decisions, just like milliseconds down at the goal line. I think O'Connell even said that, where it's like, you got to decide if you're going to bounce. You got to decide where the hole is. You got to decide if you think you can outrun the guy and kind of get that angle. Like all those things are happening like this. You don't have time to think. You just have to have those instincts. And he seems to have the kind of combination of still enough physical talent plus those instincts and experience to kind of put the whole package together.
Yeah, and the only questions about him moving forward are that age, the experience, the burden of taking all those carries over the years. And he wasn't a full-time guy in Green Bay. They did kind of limit his workload. But yeah, how's it going to look in November, December when he is, you're feeling more 29 or 30, which in the NFL is more like 40 or 50.
And I think that's the whole question for the Vikings, because I think their depth, there's the drop off at depth at a lot of spots. I think we'll get to that in a minute. Third hot takeaway though, Sam Darnold can be a mid-level quarterback. Let's dial it back a little bit. He can be he can be the number 15 quarterback in the league. That's still pretty hot.
You wanted to get pretty spicy. That is 15 would be spicy considering what we'd seen from him. I was going to say these takes, I feel like you can get hotter with them. And then you came,
spice level, the spice level will increase it. The more that people can withstand, the more we'll increase the spice level on the menu.
I like that, because this last one you came through. Top 15, I don't know, just because we'll see how this develops throughout the year. But Kevin O'Connell very much coached this game like it wasn't Kirk Cousins, which you have to love to see if you're a Vikings fan. And that sounds obvious, but it's not, because many coaches are in love with their systems. They think, I'm going to teach a guy the system. He's going to run it. I saw a previous guy do it. He can come in and do it. O'Connell is very much doing the bread and butter of what they like to do foundationally on offense. But what they're doing is making it easy on Darnold. And you go back to the long drive, the 99-yarder. They start backed up to their own end zone. The first 3 plays out of that drive are a run to Ty Chandler, and then when that went nowhere, a quick play action toss into the flat to Ty Chandler, where it's a one-read play. Darnold doesn't need to think, get the ball out, don't test your protection. And then another run, I believe, to Jones or Chandler. And then that got them to the 10-yard line when they set up the shot to Jefferson for 44 yards to get them out of there. That is kind of taking it easy on your quarterback there, of saying, look, we're going to be methodical. We're going to run. We're going to get the ball out of your hands quick. It's smart coaching. It's stuff that in the past with Kirk, we've seen him say, you know what, take a 3-5 step drop and see what you can chuck up there. They didn't do that with Sam. And what I'm curious is, how long is that going to last? Is the leash going to get longer with him when he shows this comfort level, when he plays the way he does? And because this is just first game stuff, right? And this can obviously evolve and change as Sam grows. So if Sam shows that he can be more, run a more complex kind of version of what they're doing down the road, then I could totally believe that. And frankly, if the rest of the pieces around him, like Aaron Jones, we talk about, if they all play to the level they did on Sunday, because there were some snaps on there was a 3rd and 8 I was just watching where Brian O'Neill's one-on-one on Brian Burns. Christian Darrisaw's one-on-one on Kayvon Thibodeau, and they stall him. They played great. I mean, Brian Burns was kind of nowhere to be seen for parts of that game for the Giants, one of the highest paid pass rushers in football, and it was because the Vikings have great edge protection. If those guys keep playing like that, Darnold can run, a pretty simple offense and be pretty great and maybe be that top 15.